Lois Lane issue 12 sees Lois working away on her book and stories as the news talks about the part of her expose on the pay-to-play scheme the White House is trying to cover up. News also talks about Superman's intervention in a local disaster and Wonder Woman calling for public calm as the Justice League look into a possible alien encounter. Talk soon cuts back to Lois and how the president took to social media to decry her claims about the White House. Jessica asks if she is listening to this, but Lois is busy, lost in her work as her phone begins ringing. Jessica becomes frustrated since she can't find Lois's phone amongst all of the papers, so using her magic, she pulls it from the buried papers, answering the phone. Renee is on the other end, saying that she does kind of have a status report since her and Alicia have the files they needed, but their escape won't be quiet. Alicia meanwhile fires on the Chechen soldiers coming for them, but thanks to the gunfire, Jessica hangs up, leaving the two women to continue their assault. Alicia says that while she is loving her little holiday with Renee, she wonders how they will get out of this. Renee has an idea, running from cover as Alicia covers her. Renee soon returns with a giant truck, getting Alicia aboard as she rams the compound fence, escaping the soldiers. Out of range of the soldiers, Renee removes her mask, hoping Alicia is still with her, and soon she pops down from the roof, kissing her girlfriend. Meanwhile, in Metropolis, the Daily Planet bullpen's usual noise all falls away as Lois Lane arrives, heading into Perry's office. Perry knew it was her since the bullpen only gets quiet when either she or Wonder Woman shows up. Lois knows that powerful women have that effect on people, handing over hard copies of her stories to her boss. Lois was hoping they could do this over email, but Perry knows that this way is safer, immediately picking up on some spelling mistakes in the stories. Perry reads through the story of Mariska Voronova, the Russian reporter and friend of Lois who was murdered, giving his notes before saying the story can run tomorrow, and that the 5-part Agger and Shaws story Lois also has will be finished by the end of the week. Clark comes in to see his wife as Perry tells him to take it elsewhere since he's going to need an insulin shot after watching them. Clark and Lois head out into the streets and Lois knows Clark heard Perry talking about her story, asking what he thinks about it. Clark thinks that she misspelled the words on purpose, wondering if her new research assistants helped her with the fact gathering. Lois says that Renee and Alicia might have just gone on a romantic getaway to Eastern Europe, so any research they do in the meantime is under their own volition. Clark knows the romantic part of Lois's story gives him his own ideas, but he would rather show Lois than tell her. The next day, Clark flies her back to Chicago and to the Drake Hotel, telling his wife he worries about her, what with the Voronova piece, the Agger and Shaws story, and her book coming out after that. He knows it never ends and Lois knows it will once there is no more stories to tell. Clark kisses his wife before leaving, letting Lois go inside to find Renee inside. Renee says she won't bother asking about how Lois's night went since she knows exactly how it went, knowing that's what true love looks like and she's always wondered what it did look like. Lois asks what's wrong, asking her to talk to her, so Renee tells her about the day she was angry at Lois for not telling her about Charlie and when she was told about the multiversal splintering. She knows it was the truth, but Lois remembers calling it an antiseptic, which is why it hurts and it's messy and rarely simple. Renee remembers Lois telling her people do not want the truth, they just want to have been right all along. Lois remembers that as Renee wonders maybe this truth being told will lead to a kill the messenger type of situation, so maybe it shouldn't be told. Lois knows that Renee really can't look her in the eye and say that, and if she could she do the same thing to Jessica or Clarice or Alicia? Renee knows that she wouldn't be able to do that, and Lois tells her the people need to be told this information, and what they do with said information is up to them. And if the people hate them for speaking the truth, they won't be the first time each of them has been called the enemy of the people. Later on, as Clark accompanies Renee to the Department of Homeland Security to meet Alejandra, and sister Clarice and Jessica oversee a renovation of a house, the news breaks Lois's Agger and Shaws story, citing Larry Shaw giving himself up to police, but denying killing Daniel Agger. The Kremlin meanwhile denies Lois's story accusations about the murder of Voronova, calling the claims fake news. After Clarice and Jessica finally open the Unity House, the talk show The Perspective begins talking about Lois and her guest, sister Clarice, who is scared beyond belief that she is about to go on stage and talk to the world about the multiverse. Lois is glad that she is petrified since that means this matters. The women are brought out and Lois talks about her new book which covers the multiversal splintering, explaining some of the science behind it, but Lois says a crucial part is that no version of themselves is less valid or less real than the other, and they never meet, but on the occasion that they do, it can be traumatic, which is why she has brought sister Clarice with her. Clarice explains the Unity Project, saying that it is there to help reconcile these cases cases of broken identity. Under Superman's supervision, Alejandra is released from her ICE prison, finally reunited with her children and her husband, as Clarice says that the Unity House will help find a way to heal and repair the cracks in these splintered people. She says Lois spells it out really well in her book, in that she reminds them that truth isn't the same as fact, as people resist facts, but embrace things they identify as true, and people are drawn to seek that out. As Superman, Lois, Renee, and Alicia help out at the Unity House, giving Alejandra and her family a new life. Clarice says that being drawn to this is what people decide what matters, since where facts speak to the head, what is true speaks to the heart. Lois Lane issue 12 ended what has to be one of my favorite DC comics to come out of 2019 and 2020. Greg Rucka did a masterful job giving Lois, Renee, Clarice, Jessica, and everyone else involved in this book a relevant and loud voice, tackling confronting topics like the role of ICE in the current American political landscape, corporate greed, and journalism, even relating it all back to a very comic book thing in Lois being the one who reveals to the larger world that the multiverse exists, and it is something that has been changed not once but multiple times. I thoroughly enjoyed reading every issue of this series, and it all came together really damn well, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next with these characters and how this book will be paid off in a larger way somewhere down the line, hopefully. I'm going to give this issue a 10 out of 10.